Hey guys, Alex here from TitanBearGaming.com, at TitanBearGaming on social media. Today I'm continuing to go through the Blood Hunter custom-written class that Matt Mercer, Dungeon Master of Critical Role, put up on the DM's Guild website. It's a pay-what-you-want kind of thing, so you can pick up a copy of this yourself for real cheap and give back a little bit of tip money to our friend Matt Mercer. It's a great class. It's a really strong class by itself, so it would be worth going over on its own, but just last week, we got started on the second season, I think they're calling it the second season, the second campaign for Critical Role, where all of our usual friends and players are playing new characters. They got new characters, new classes, new backstories. It's the same world, just advanced a little further forward in terms of the world timeline, but everybody's playing something new. And one of them, Taliesin Jaffe, is playing a Blood Hunter. This is a custom class that Matt Mercer wrote himself, and it's showing up at the game table right now. I figured most of the player base, or the fan base of Critical Role, probably hadn't taken the time to go look at the Blood Hunter, so I figured I'd talk a little bit about it so we can get accustomed to what kinds of things we can expect going forward in the story. I've already done the video on the base class. This is a fairly lengthy class, so I split it up into a couple of different videos, so be sure to check out the base class video. I've also done the two other videos on the Order of the Ghost Slayer, Order of the Ghost Slayer, got it, as well as the Order of the Profane Soul. Today, I'm talking about the Order of the Mutant. This one harkens back very strongly to the Alchemist that was invented and was pretty strong back in 3rd edition, as well as showing up a lot in Pathfinder and whatnot. And this is focusing on the Mutagen vile concoction style play for an alchemist, where you transform your physical body into a different kind of thing to grant yourself new powers and stuff like that. It shows up here as one of the archetype options for the Blood Hunter, and it pairs with the Blood Hunter base abilities in kind of an interesting way. Now, reminder, the two basic things that the Blood Hunter has is its Blood Right, which is the ability to sacrifice a little bit of hit points and light your sword on fire, or electric damage, or lightning damage, or frost damage, or whatever else, to do a little bit of extra weapon damage whenever you take your weapon shot, as well as using your Blood Maledict, kind of a blood curse kind of power, where you can cast whichever one of those you've selected on an enemy or for a friend or whatever to provide some kind of supernatural benefit to combat. This one interacts with it in kind of an interesting way. The Order of the Mutant thematically fits as we had the overarching statement that to become a Blood Hunter, to kind of become that which you are hunting down for trying to capture, and your quarry of some kind of supernatural creature, fae, undead, or fiend, or whatnot, you had to kind of become that a little bit in order to be better at tracking them down and finding them. And so you drank this vile concoction that they called the Hunter's Bane. This one, the Order of the Mutant, says that there is a small subset of the Blood Hunter enclaves that focus on that. They obsess over that, where they come up with the abilities to warp those kinds of poisons that you're drinking to have other kinds of drastic effects. And that's what this one's really heavily built off of. At 3rd level, you pick up this thing called formulas, which is you get to uncover forbidden alchemical formulas that temporarily alter your physical or mental state. You learn 3 of them at 3rd level, and you pick up a couple more at 7th level, 11th level, 15th, and 18th. So you'll pick up 7 by the end of the game. It's not so bad. And just like any other spell, when you reach a level where you could learn a new one, you can swap out an old one if you feel like one's getting stale or whatnot. So we'll talk about what these mutagens are, but for now, let's just continue going through the powers that we get here in the Order of the Mutant. At 3rd level, you get Mutagen Craft, which is your ability to make these mutagens. All that it takes is during a short rest, you can concoct a single mutagen. It requires a bonus action to consume the mutagen, so like a little potion that you eat or drink yourself. And the effects, including side effects, because there's always a positive thing and a negative thing that happens with these mutagens. They last until you complete a short or long rest to meditate and flush the toxins from your system in kind of a Hulk kind of way, I suppose. Mutagens are designed for your biology and your biology only. They have no effect on a large or larger creature, and if you give them to somebody other than you, only the negative side effects happen if the person tries to consume it. So it's basically just for you. It also says it's unstable by nature, and it loses its potency if you don't consume it before your next short rest or whatever. You can't have multiples going up at the same time until you get this specific power to make multiples and consume multiples and whatnot. Further, it says here that we've got this kind of interesting power scaling feature for it, which we call the mutagen score. Okay, this is different from a DC, and this is different from using your modifier. Your mutagen score is equal to your blood hunter level divided by 4 rounded up. Okay, that's going to take effect for any time that you're improving an ability score or dealing extra damage or something like that. So keep this in mind because this is your number that you're going to have to add to powers as we go through the list. At 7th level, you pick up Advanced Mutagen Craft, which is when you take a short rest to concoct a mutagen, you can now make 2 mutagens. Okay, not so bad. You get that power at 7th level. The mutagens must be of different formulas and can be ingested with overlapping effects that last until you finish your next short or long rest. In short, you can now drink 2 of these at the same time, should you wish. Consuming each one still takes a separate bonus action to imbibe, so you still have to do it across 2 different turns to do it. Once you reach 15th level, you can now create 3 mutagens during a short rest, so you can get the benefit from 3 of them at the same time, if you so desired. At 11th level, you pick up Strange Metabolism, which is kind of a cool power. You can use a bonus action to instill a burst of adrenaline to temporarily resist the negative effects of a mutagen, which you'll understand when we actually cover the mutagens. You can choose to ignore the side effect of a mutagen affecting you for 1 minute using a bonus action. Okay, basically the way this would go is since it uses a bonus action to consume the mutagen, on the next turn, you could then choose to suppress the negative effect of that mutagen. So you'd have the negative effect for the length of that first turn, but then on the next turn, you could shut it off for a minute. Kind of an interesting mechanical style for this. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short or long rest before you can use it again, so you can only do it 1 time per combat, effectively. Important for when you're dealing with multiple mutagens when you reach 7th level and whatnot. At 15th level, we pick up Robust Physiology, which is nice. You basically get immunity to poison damage and the poisoned condition because you're permanently poisoning yourself all the time, so it makes sense that you'd be a little more resilient to that kind of thing. At 18th level, you pick up Exalted Mutation, which is an interesting power. Choose one of your known mutagen formulas. You gain the benefits and side effects of it permanently at all times. You cannot change this choice after the feature is acquired, so choose wisely. Kind of a cool power. What are the mutagens, right? So far, all of our powers for here have been creating the mutagens. You're only 1 at a time. How many you get to know, what kind of actions it takes to consume it. What do these things actually do? For the most part, it comes down to this large list here. Some of them have prerequisite levels, so you have a leveling curve for which ones you can pick up when, because some are more powerful than others. But they kind of break down into some typical things. At the one called Ether, at 11th level, you gain a flying speed of 20 feet. Side effect, you have disadvantage on all strength and dexterity ability checks, so you get a little bit of a penalty for when you consume any one of these mutagens, but the power is pretty good. Celerity, your dexterity score increases by an amount equal to your mutation score. 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. As does your dexterity maximum, so this can bump you up above 20 in terms of your maximum dexterity score. But the side effect for it is that your wisdom score decreases by an amount equal to your mutation score. This is kind of the general format that you'll find for these things. So you can use it to temporarily boost up your strength at the cost of your intelligence, or you can temporarily boost up your intelligence at the cost of your charisma. They all kind of have kind of a round robin thing like this. Or other interesting ones, Impermeable. You gain resistance to piercing damage. Great. Half damage from all piercing weapons. That's great. Side effect, you gain vulnerability to slashing damage, and there's the rock, paper, scissors of all 3 of those different types. Mobility, you gain immunity to the grappled and restrained conditions, and at 11th level, you also are immune to paralyzed condition. Huge, really big, really important for fighting, especially as a melee-oriented character. Side effect, you gain a penalty to your initiative equal to 2 times your mutation score. So while you get to get the wonderful benefit from all of these things where you can't be controlled and you can't be restrained or whatnot, you artificially reduce your turn in the action list, your turn order. So there's a whole bunch of these different mutagens, and they all kind of have their own power and their own drawback to them. I think that they're good for when you know what you are doing. If you're going to be sitting down to design your blood hunter, if you know that you're going to be a weapons-oriented blood hunter that's going to be strength inclined or is going to be dexterity inclined, or if you're going to be a blood curse-oriented blood hunter where you might want to have a higher wisdom score or something, then you need to know what these are in advance so that you can pick them to be as optimally beneficial and as minimally harmful as possible, because the downsides for a lot of these things are pretty strong. They're pretty big downsides. I think that For players that are just getting into 5th edition, there's a reason why I rated this as kind of the maximum complexity. I called this the dragon rank complexity back in my previous video. That I think if you're brand new to the game and you don't otherwise have experience with the Mutagen alchemist style character type, this might seem a bit weird. It might seem a little bit unwieldy. So I might dissuade new players from this. But otherwise, I think that if you are familiar with that you'll be happy to see a nice familiar thing here from prior versions of the game. So that does it for the Order of the Mutant. Let me know what you think about this one down below. Leave me a comment, especially if you've been playing this one or if you've got any level of experience with the Alchemist class from back in 3rd edition. Let me know how it compares. Otherwise, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with somebody if you'd like. You can come find me over at Titan Bear Gaming on social media. I'd love to talk to you over there. I'm real curious to see what Taliesin ends up doing in terms of which order he's playing, so we'll find out. Until next time I see you, have more fun, would you? It's good for you.